not grow up with that. We grow up with different tribes from different countries, and we see ourselves as human beings. Until when you reach to South Sudan, you are being told, this is a Dinka, this is a Nuer. And you could see even the way people are living. You will see it is only the women of the Dinka people that you see having a lot of jewelries in Juba. They are the only people that are doing big parties. It was only one tribe that you could see money is in. And this was creating a lot of problems. I don't hate Dinka. I don't hate Nuer. I don't hate Equatoria. Whatever I did all this time was to make South Sudanese realize that we are South Sudanese, and whoever hate, whether you like it, you don't like it, we are South Sudanese. And now this is the statement that you remember the president say, you can go and hang yourself. The Makwilu is also, these are the list of the people that want not the betterness of South Sudan. So there's a message that I'll play from Dr. John Garang. He's telling us that who, Nuer and Dinka, who are they? Because the Nuer and Dinka are the problem that South Sudan is having. Because they're the only tribes that are fighting, are being used to kill themselves. And the government is funding some tribes to go kill some other tribes so that they can continue to be in their power. So let's listen to it. Trying to play games that you can. It must play whether it's like it or not.
So if the individuals does not adapting each other and the government is sponsoring the Dinkas and the Nuers, my friend, are not the government. The Nuers, my friend, are not the government. The Dinkas and the Nuers, my friend, are not the government. We are talking about responsibility of government.
Let me start.
The Dinkas and the Nuers, my friend, are not the government. We are talking about responsibility of government. The Dinkas and Nuers are societies. And so if they raid each other, that does not excuse the government to sponsor. They don't enslave themselves, and even if they enslave themselves, there is no moral equivalence here of individuals abducting each other, and the government is sponsoring this program. The Dinkas and the Nuers, my friend, are not the government. We are talking about responsibility of government. The Dinkas and Nuers are societies. And so if they raid each other, that does not excuse the government to sponsor. They don't enslave themselves, and even if they enslave themselves, there is no moral equivalence here of individuals abducting each other, and the government is sponsoring this program. The Dinkas and the Nuers.
So you hear that he said, if the Dinka and the Nuer are not. So the problem we're having today started even before I was born. It is something that people grew up with, and we, this society, this team, this generation, we are facing it. We are fighting the generation of Dr. John Garang, Dr. Riek Machar, and Honorable Makwilu, the president himself. They have their own generations. And in their generations, they had their own problems. And in the problems they had, they're imposing them to us. And they are telling us that they want to use us to be the implementers. And we have been the implementers. And I want to read my message because I will finish with the outside world. But I will start with the inside. Because before we talked about what is the world saying about South Sudan, I want to tell you my side as a South Sudanese. First, I will say my message that is going to South Sudanese in this situation that we are in. Because I feel that we South Sudanese, we have reached. I feel we have reached to this where I wanted us to be. In 2025, we were not where we are today. but we work so hard. We have hate ourselves, we have abused ourselves, but at least today we are at least speaking with 40% of South Sudanese are saying one voice. And that is very important for us. So I have a message for the South Sudanese. If you are a child, if you are a woman, if you are an elder, if you are a youth that were forced to hate people. I remember my classmate is here. I just saw him here. My classmate is watching me now. He's called Chol. Chol was my classmate when I was in primary school. And we didn't hate each other. We never even asked ourselves whether you are a Dinka or you are a Nuer. We saw ourselves as South Sudanese. And my classmate can confirm in this show that Ruth is not a tribalist. But the government of South Sudan tried so hard to make me a tribalist, but they did not succeed. I try to use different styles to make South Sudanese realize that we are being used. And today I feel so good that we are in a very good place. So my first message goes to South Sudanese. It is from me. This is a message from Ruth, who is a South Sudanese. My dear brothers and sisters of South Sudan, we have walked through fire together. We have buried loved ones, fled our homes and became refugees, and endure anger, fear and heartbreak. Some of us survive alone in refugees camps, resilience broken, but rising. We are now men and women with dreams, with scars, with painful memories, but we survived them. Yet the hope for a better life that we carried in our heart is being distorted by the very leaders we once believed in. Those who fought for our freedom. We South Sudanese, we must give the United Nations a very special gift. For years before and after our independence, the UN stood with us in Kakuma refugees camp, in every country we fled to. Uganda, Ethiopia, Kenya, Europe, America, Australia, Canada, African countries, and all over the world. UNHCR became a father to all of us. They nurture us when no one else would. Today, many of us are here because of the UN. We struggled, but we survived. We are all colors of the UN. We have traveled the world. We are South Sudanese in every continent. And yes, we became known as refugees. But that is a badge of struggle we must honor, not to hide. We all have this in common. We suffered together, but there was never true development for all of us. Our leaders, those who have held power, they are the nation for themselves. They know themselves, they enrich themselves, while we stayed behind, waiting. Yet, we South Sudanese are innocent. We love each other. No South Sudanese person hates another. I remember before 1991, according to the stories I read, there was no war. As much as people were fighting, there was love. Because people were united by the fight of the Sudan. They were fighting because they were liberating their country. They didn't want to be marginalized. And some leaders that time came out and worked so tirelessly so that South Sudanese and other minority tribes will not be marginalized in the country we then called Sudan. There was peace, a peace we must remember even as we bear the scars since in those years. In 2022, the Lair County massacre reopened wounds. In Unity State, between 1997 to 2003, gunship rained down on us where we were still in Sudan by then. In Unity State, and now, even today, we see court cases in Stockholm that is pursuing this because the killing of the 1997 of the people of Bentiu to 2003 by the government of Sudan by then, that combined himself with the company, the oil company Shamrock, currently called the Lundin Oil Company, killed people then, and today the court, the case is in court in Stockholm District Court in Sweden, which is why I'm in Sweden today. I am fighting for, and it started in 2023. That is when the first hearing started in Sweden, and also in some people went and give their testimonies in Rwanda, and then today on this year 2026 October, the ruling is going to be heard for that. So the killing and the deaths of the people of South Sudan did not just start, and that is going to be a very own way of, because some people started saying that the court hearing or the fight for justice just started with this court case that is ongoing on the first vice president. That is not true. In 2023, South Sudanese, especially the people of Unity State, opened a case in Sweden, and the Swedish people are supporting us to make sure that that case is going so well, and God willing, because that are things that were done by October this year, we are going to receive either good news or bad news, either news that we won the case or not. It is called the unpaid debt process. So that is, if you go to Google and you Google unpaid debt, you will see the videos, the things that were done those years in Unity State, Bentiu, from 1997 to 2003. Let us remember that all these wounds, all this blood, they are the cement that holds South Sudan together. Our land is crying for change. Let us not allow despites to rule us. We must rise with hope, knowing that each of us has a role to play. When a river has run dry for years, no sudden rain will fill it. So for 20 years, South Sudan River, the country, have dried. So there's no way from nowhere Salva Kiir will come and fix South Sudan by doing what? By arresting leaders. And he's number one corrupt person. Because without him, there will be no South Sudan. Without him, there will be no those leaders. Why will Salva Kiir arrest people today after C5, after them rejecting the C5 call for the release of the political detainees, and also for going back to the peace agreement? Why will they come out and start arresting people? I call this a game, and I'll be able to give my statement later on. That years sudden, only steady, honest streams of peace will bring life to our land. Let us be those streams. Let us rise together as one people, one nation, and one future. We all have wounds, but their wounds are blood that cements South Sudan. Our land is crying for change, and we stayed in unity. If we choose healing over hate, peace will bloom in our hearts and cross our land. As the proverb says, we all have wounds, but these wounds are blood that cements South Sudan. Our land is crying, let change. I have another message, and this message is going to President Kiir. And whatever he is doing, anybody that have been arrested have not been arrested because they are corrupt. Because if it's about corruption, there is something that have been happening today. If the people who are being arrested because they are corrupt, then Salva Kiir will have been number one person in the list of corruption, followed by a dude Salva, and everybody will go in. But because Salva Kiir is just trying to play a game of The game he liked playing every day is the same game that he's playing, and he's recycling people. Salva Kiir is recycling people. He removed this person this month, after 3 months, and then bring another person, and then after the other 3 months, he will relieve this person and bring back. Why? Because Salva Kiir wants to look like a savior in the eyes of South Sudanese. Whoever have been arrested, they have not been arrested because they are corrupt. They have not been arrested because that Salva Kiir want to bring change in South Sudan. He have not arrested them because he is ready to bring peace to South Sudanese. Let me play this song again. Some people don't know, but this song was John Kudus. By then in Nairobi was, anytime you hear John Kudus is coming, all South Sudanese will go, regardless of which tribe, the Nuer, the Dinka, the Equatoria. John Kudus, Gordon Kwang, we had our own leaders. We have our own, because they had messages about South Sudan. We didn't know what was happening much back at home. We could only see and hear. But these people, these musicians gave us a lot of songs that were having meaningful information about South Sudan. So there's a song, You See Me Dancing Yesterday, and some people are saying, why are you dancing Dinka songs? Have you become a Dinka? Have you been... No, we are South Sudanese. We are not fighting to be tribes, to hate each other forever, but we want to be South Sudanese. One nation, one voice, one people. So this song is talking about that one day you will be called and you will be asked, where is our money? And our money will be. So let's listen to this song and then we continue. So that is a song from John Kudus. So John Kudus is not a Dinka, according to me, that grew up in Nairobi and also grew up in other places. When anytime we hear about John Kudus song, we used to come out and we say, Mama, I have to go. We need 500 or 1,000. I remember our parents that were in Nairobi will know. Children and women used to go to City Hall in Nairobi. That place is called City Hall or Kenya Cinema. We used to go to those places and we listen to either Gordon Kwang singing, and it's always a combined. John Kudus is coming, Gordon Kwang is coming. They used to give us those messages. So this message, I am responding to President Kiir, and this message actually, President Kiir wants to lie to the world. You cannot lie to the world. You can lie to the world, but you cannot lie to me. You cannot lie to me. You can lie to South Sudanese, but no more anymore. So I have this message. Political tensions in South Sudan continue to rise. Serious concern among citizens and observers. Salva Kiir Mayardit, as according to critics, often relieve on arrest, abrupt calls for dialogue, and repeated promises that many believes remain unfulfilled. Dictators argue that this recurring tactic follow as long-standing patterns and aim at the maintaining control rather than delivering lasting reform. So it is not different. The same song Salva Kiir have been singing for all these many years is the same song that he is still. The reason why people are saying, Ruth, why are you not coming out and talking about Dr. Riek? Dr. Riek is under house arrest. So me and you, at least we can speak, but he is under house arrest. So when he's under house arrest, the peace of South Sudan is under house arrest. These two people are people that will give us what we are looking for. If they will either take us to election, if they think election is the right way, or they will either go back to the peace agreement, which is the R-axis, but them keeping quiet is not what we need. He cannot pick one of them and put inside and one of them remain out. So when I come and I talk about President Kiir all the time, Some Dinka will come and say, why are you mentioning D and you don't talk? No, I don't talk. If Dr. Riek is out, if Dr. Riek is released, then I'll be able to talk about it. And I'll be able to mention something small later on about Dr. Riek after reading this. So many South Sudanese and international stakeholders continue to point to the revitalized peace agreement, formerly the revitalized agreement on the resolution of the conflict in the Republic of South Sudan, as the most viable path forward. They emphasize that meaningful implementation, not political theatrics, is essential for stability, accountability, and national unity. The call from reforms advocate is clear. No distractions, no manipulation, no empty assurances, only a genuine commitment to the peace, transparency, and democratic progress for the people of South Sudan. Here, what is peace agreement? What is this R-axis that a lot of people only hear about peace agreement? They don't even know that this one is called R-axis. This R-axis is also connected to something called Artigono. It's also connected to something called Tumaini Peace Agreement. A month ago, I came and I talked about what does this R-axis means. This R-axis was put in a way that it will not be implemented. It was designed in a way that it will not be implemented. And the people that designed it knew. They have put accountability in the peace agreement. They have put that leaders are going to be accounted. And they also they said they are going to be hybrid court. If this hybrid court is established in South Sudan, the hybrid court will ask President Kiir. It will persecute President Kiir, it will persecute the first vice president, and any political person that is involved in this R-axis. So there's accountability in this R-axis. The reason why the government now is running away from the R-axis is because the R-axis actually is the solution South Sudanese are looking for, because they put everything in this document. They put everything that South Sudanese need here. But they now thought that they are going to do what? That they are going to play us like before. The CPA was never implemented, all of it. That document that was signed, the CPA, was never implemented, all of it. And it's recurring. It's recurring. They tried in 2016, they ran away back to war. This is what they have been doing. So they want to jump. They try to implement some small part and then they run away. It's like this. A very good example that I can give is, we have this guy that love for a very short time, or this lady that love for a short time. Something like, you fall in love, they marry, and then they can buy you everything. They buy you cars, but then within a short time, they become tired. In Nuer, they call it biaf. Ramatika biaf. La bibangwani. So bangwani la tanke der kala bemal ngong bejien. So this is what the situation of South Sudan is. They always come and implement some few part of it and run away. And then the Tumaini peace agreement, when they were designing this peace agreement, they did not do what? They did not put the militias. The militias were left out so that they will come and create something called Tumaini peace agreement. And this Tumaini peace agreement will now bring him the G10. We have something called G10. In this G10, we have Mama Rebecca is in the G10. We have the King Paul Malong himself is in the G10. We have somebody like this one. Boyrol Nyang is also having his own party. So there are different parties that came together. They are called the G10 party. They have been going to Uganda having a meeting with President Museveni for so long. And then they have also been in Nairobi trying to implement the Tumaini peace agreement, because they are trying to bring them. All these are drama. All these are drama to keep the government in power. That's why you see they do a lot of drama, and then they said, okay, we cannot go to election, it's already too late. And then they extend the peace agreement for another 2 years. Again, they do this. But now this R-axis is ending in 2027. In 2027, the R-axis is remaining. So South Sudanese, we have been used for so long. And this is the same drama that Salva Kiir is doing. It's the same drama. And that's why I told people, whoever is planning, the dictator behind the dictatorship of Salva Kiir, because it's not Salva Kiir that is thinking all this. It's not Salva Kiir that is planning this. Maybe we have maybe a white man somewhere. Maybe we have an Arab guy somewhere. Maybe we have anybody. I don't think a South Sudanese can plan all this evil to the people of South Sudan. I believe it's some other people that are planning, and then President Kiir just come and implement. He always have a way to escape. Salva Kiir will always have a way to escape from all this drama. So all the people that have been arrested, they are not being arrested because they are guilty of corruption. If we were arresting people that are guilty of corruption, even humanitarians are going to be arrested. We have people that have organizations that are also going to be arrested. We have people that are businessmen that are also going to be arrested. We have a lot of people that have done a lot of corruption in South Sudan. We even have people that are printing fake money, and the government knows, and they also take this money to the street and they scam our money. You take your dollar, they change your dollar, and then they give you a fake dollar, and then you cry. They say the money you gave me is fake. That's how bad the situation of corruption in South Sudan have reached to that level. You have seen from the video of Elias Lomoro, he said South Sudan resources are being picked. They take them outside. And then they bring them with aeroplanes, with private jet. That is how the South Sudan resources are being brought with private jet. So, this one is where our problem is. So, whoever is being arrested is not arrested because they are victims of this corruption. Everybody, from president going down, they are all corrupt. But the problem, including the first vice president office, we have, I think, almost 10 people in the first vice president office that everybody know, even these ones, they are supposed to be inside now. If it was about corruption, we have these 10 people that are supposed to be arrested and join the team of corrupt people in Blue House. But no, President Kiir is just trying to play a game. He wants to make South Sudanese see him as a savior, that he came and saved South Sudan. He have arrested, and we'll be like, oh, thank you, President, thank you, Ben, because that we have done what? Because he have arrested people. But no, whoever is oppressed is a game. These are just victims like Bolmel. These are just victims like the first vice president. This is just a victim like the political detainees. This is just a victim like General Akolkol. They are just victims like any other person, because President Kiir is using them to play his games. Because the plan of President Kiir is not to take anybody to election. He doesn't want anybody to go to election. He just wants to continue in power until he's done and he go. And then we can remain with our problem. Whether we want to sort our problem, we don't want to solve, we continue with tribalism. That is not what worried President Kiir. But and Lord Ezekiel Lord, Ambassador Ezekiel Lord came out openly and he said it clearly. He said, President Kiir, whoever is not supporting your government when they're outside, you should not appoint them again. He also came out and said that they are there to protect their positions. They are there to feed. They are not there for the people of South Sudan. They have made it clearly. And he said it, don't please, you have to protect the leadership of President Kiir, because if President Kiir goes today, you will also go. So these ones, we already know. The whole South Sudanese are not sleeping anymore. 2025, 2026 have woken up South Sudanese. We are no longer sleeping. We already see we are being used. This one is something that we have seen so clearly, and this is very, very important. If President Kiir really wanted peace in South Sudan, by now, if he's arresting people because of corruption, he will pull out the soldiers in Longwear, because they already are wounded that they don't want to see them. If he's really for South Sudan, if he's really a president for South Sudan and he cared that he wants to change South Sudan, he will have pulled out the forces in Longwear and bring them out. But no, he's even continuing planning to airlift them. They want to airlift them, use another road so that they can go to Akobo. Who are in Akobo? The ones that are in Akobo, they are children. They are not soldiers. The one in Akobo, these are children. But he wants to use another turn so that he can take the soldiers this way and go. So if President Kiir is really for peace and whatever he have arrested is for peace, then he will have put out the forces at Ilonwer, because they are still killing women. Imagine they are raping women that just gave birth. We call them paidam in Nuer language. A woman that just gave birth, they are raping them. They are raping elderly women, and after they finish raping them, they kill them. All these things, South Sudan actually, there's no part of South Sudan that doesn't have massacre. If we talked about massacre, every part of South Sudan, we have massacres. In 1991, we had the biggest massacre that led to this something we call South Sudan today. So South Sudan, as a country, have a lot of wounds. It have created a lot of wounds for us South Sudanese. He have created a lot of wounds for every community. There's no community, you cannot tell me that the Nuer blood or the Dinka blood did not fall in the equatorial land, or the equatorial blood did not fall in the Nuer or the Dinka land. That is how South Sudan problem have bring all of us together. Our blood as the 64 tribe have reigned and have remained across the whole part of South Sudan. So what is happening is, Salva Kiir will never bring peace to people of South Sudan. Let's continue to lie to each other, to the people that are continually protecting Salva Kiir. I told you before that they say, in Swahili, mwenzako akinyolewa kichwa chako kitia maji. When they are shaving the head of your neighbor, sprinkle some water in your hair, because you will be the next person to be shaved. And we sing this, we told everybody that Salva Kiir is not for only Nuer. It's because Nuer are the biggest threat for him now. They are the ones that are saying, no, we cannot be marginalized, we cannot be killed, our women cannot be raped, our children. We have been making noise. Now it have reached to Juba. Yesterday, it was the Dinka Warab themselves that they were hiding from Salva Kiir. They were hiding from Salva Kiir. And we have also seen, so there's a lot here. There's a lot here. Everybody, he's just going step by step. He reach to you, he'll pick you. He reach to you, he'll pick you. And it's continue. And it's not going to stop anytime soon. Because whoever I've put inside, they're not going to release them anytime soon. Because he cannot relieve this one and leave this. Everybody's going to be inside there. So, there's this message. I want to send this message to somebody by the name Bol Brown. Bol Brown, he denied that women and children were not called. In a place called Pakam, before I read this statement, in a place called Pakam, the government soldiers, SSPDF leaders, they call with a microphone and say, please, the WFP have called for you. They want to come and register the name of the people so that they will bring food. Because people have been displaced. The women are suffering, the children are suffering. They were boiling lalop. Not ready lalop, they were boiling them so that the children can eat. These are South Sudanese children. You can see them as Nuer, but tomorrow, if South Sudan have peace, they are children that will build South Sudan. Tribalism see them like the Nuer children, but South Sudan recognize them as the children that actually he came for. South Sudan recognize them as the people that can come and build South Sudan tomorrow. If South Sudan did not have tribalism, today we will be so busy building South Sudan, competing, this one having a company, this one bringing different projects, us sitting, discussing, going to movies, going to cinemas. This is what we could be doing as a country. Because we grew up where there was a good life. We grew whereby there was peace. So we grew up knowing peace. But until when we went to South Sudan, the peace that we had was taken out of us. And they feed us with hatred. They feed us with hate speech. And they feed us with a lot of bad things. And I cannot blame South Sudanese youth who are becoming tribalists today, because all of us that grew outside, we don't hate each other, but it's being imposed to us. It's being forced to us that you have to hate each other. You are a Nuer, you are a Dinka, you are a Equatorial. No, we want to sit down and bring different ideas. Adinka, Anwera, Equatoria, the all 64 tribes sitting together, we will come up with strategies and all the ideas that we had, because everybody have a dream on how they want to build South Sudan, how they want South Sudan to look like. I want to build my village. I want to build my house in my village. Every Christmas I go to my village and I relax and I enjoy, and I want to go to the farm and cultivate. These are the things that we didn't have. I remember when I was in school, during Christmas time, when we go to holiday, the Kenyan kids that were there, they will go to the farm, they go to their holiday, to their grandmothers. We didn't enjoy that. We didn't enjoy whereby you go to your grandmother you relax, and then you have a story to tell. When we reach back to school, we didn't have a lot of stories to tell. Actually, we South Sudanese children that were raised outside, we grew up with a lot of wounds in our hearts. Because when they say that, how do your father treats you? Our fathers were never living with us. We were refugees. Our fathers were either in the bush or wherever they were in. So we grew up without having a father love. Some of us without even having a mother love. Some of us even without even having a parent that they were all minors in Kakuma. You will see some men that used to cook, and that time you go to school, you fetch water in the lager. These are the things that actually we grew up with. We grew up with a lot of wounds in our hearts. That when in 2011, when we got our country, we thought maybe finally we have a home. We didn't know 2013 was going to happen. So this message is going to bulb around. It's from the Tricas country. We have Japan, we have Canada, we have Norwegian embassy, we have the British embassy, and all these people. And it was on February 26, 2026. The message says like this: joint statement on the massacre in Pakor, Ayod County. The delegation of the European Union, as well as the embassies of Canada, France, Germany, Ireland, Japan, the Netherlands, the Norway, and the United Kingdom, the United States, are appalled by credible reports of a deliberate massacre of civilians on 21st February in Pakor village, Ayod County, Jonglei State, reportedly perpetrated by force linked to the South Sudan People Defense Forces, SSPDF. We call for an immediate cessation of hostilities and return to inclusive and meaningful dialogue between all parties to the ongoing conflict in South Sudan. These attacks occurs amid a distributing surge into violence across Jonglei State. Those responsible for such crimes and for fueling escalating violence must be brought to justice, regardless of status or political connections. So this proof that actually the killing happened. Give me 1 minute. So that one was a call, and it's confirmed. Actually, UN, the whole Europe cannot come, and the America, that they cannot come and talk about something that they did not confirm. So it's something that is legit, and it's happened. And then we go now to the US statement on South Sudan. There was a US statement about South Sudan. South Sudan transitional government has reportedly failed to live up to its commitments to international partners and its responsibilities to support its people. President Trump has made clear that the United States will not be taken advantage of. President Trump is not President Obama, is not President George W. Bush, is a different president. So this statement is very powerful to somebody who knows diplomatic way. An hour ago, there's this message, and this paper is going to be very long because it's really very long. And this document came, I print it out when it was 59 minutes, when it just arrived 59 minutes, and then I print it out. It's a UN Commission on Human Rights. Let me drink some water because I'm going to do a lot of reading. And I can see President Paul Magnac. President, I greet you Our latest inquiry report finds that political and military leaders are systematically dismantling the 2018 revitalized peace agreement, undermining governance and security safeguards, and exposing civilians to grave risk. The report warns that senior political and military officials may bear individuals' criminal responsibility, including under the doctrine of command responsibility. Without urgent course correction, South Sudan risks state failure, renewed mass violence, and further regional destabilization. The window to prevent catastrophe is closing fast. Commission on Human Rights in South Sudan. Press release. The UN inquiry finds South Sudan political and military leaders are driving the country towards full-scale war and mass atrocity crimes. Geneva, Juba, 27 February 2026. South Sudan political and military leaders are systematically dismantling the 2018 revitalized peace agreement on resolution of the conflict in South Sudan, the revitalized agreement, undermining governance and security safeguard, and exposing civilians to grave risk of renewed armed conflict, mass atrocity crimes, and serious violations of international human rights laws and international humanitarian law. The UN Commission on Human Rights in South Sudan warned today, presenting its latest investigation report to the Human Rights Council. The Commission calls for the immediate accessions of the hostilities, restoration, and full implementation of the revitalized agreement and compliance with South Sudan obligation under international law. Last March, the president declared South Sudan will not return to war. That was in 2025 March. They say last March, which is last year March, he said that the president declared South Sudan will not return to war. To the country, we have seen alarming progressive government forces have seen carried out widespread and systematic attacks against civilians, including unlawful killing, indiscriminate, disproportionate aerial bombardment of civilians' homes and medical facilities in violation of the principle of destruction, proportionality, and precaution under international humanitarian law. The Commission also documented incidents of conflict related to sexual violence and adoption and forcible recruitment of boys, conduct prohibited under the Convention on the Right of the Child. Its optional protocol and customary law taken together, these acts may constitute war crimes and crimes against humanity under international law, said Yasmin Suka, chair of the Commission. Before I continue, I want to remind there are South Sudanese that are coming and saying, who are this international community? Let them leave us alone. We don't want them. South Sudan government have signed these laws. He have signed these laws. President Kiir himself with his hand signed these laws, and he welcomed the international community to be part of South Sudan. So these laws is whatever is committed in South Sudan, anything that is said in these laws, they must be responsible. So when you come and say, who are international community? So these are people that their document was signed. They were allowed by President himself to do what? To continue working with them. The government of South Sudan pay fees, membership fees to the UN, to the Human Rights Commission, to the UN, to the IGAD, to the East African community. They pay their membership fees. And you saw we have 45 million US dollar that we owe the East African community. And that's why you saw also when the president went to Ethiopia for the meeting of the C5 and also the 39th session, he was denied to be given a microphone. Why? Because he did not pay the membership fees for a very long time. And a private jet had to leave Juba with money so that they can pay and then he can be allowed to give his message. And when they pay, then he was allowed to say, but nobody was even listening. Everybody was so busy because he had been lying to them for a very long time, and he doesn't even implement what he says. So people say these are the same documents that you usually come and read and nothing happens. So that is, these are, when I come and read these documents, the UN document, the Africa, all those documents are documents that President Kiir himself signed agreement with these people. He accepted these bills, these laws to be practiced in South Sudan. So don't come very fast and say, who are international community? They come in because of this document that was signed. And there's also participated so much in bringing South Sudan peace. They also the people that recognize South Sudan to be called a country. The world recognize that South Sudan should now be called a country. So when you come and ask who are these people, they participated in giving us something called South Sudan. So when you call yourself a South Sudanese today, these people, when the proposal was taken to them, they agree for sure you people deserve to have your country, and they signed that document, all of them, and the flag of South Sudan was raised among the countries, among the flags in the world, and South Sudan was recognized as a sovereignty country. So the international community have those signatures they put to make South Sudan a sovereignty country. They're still holding to it because they participated in bringing the country to South, that we call South Sudan today. So these are the people. And these are the same people that funded us under UN when you have been in Kakuma refugees camp. If you have been in Uganda refugees camp, if you have been in Australia now, you have an Australian passport but you are a South Sudanese. You have an American passport but you are a South Sudanese. You have an European passport but you are a South Sudanese. These are part of the UN thing. You are there because the UN worked so hard to recognize, because of these laws that were signed. They recognize you as a refugee and they give you protection in that country that you are in. But at the end of the day, they expect you to go back to South Sudan. They expect you to, at South Sudan we have peace and we will all go back. But a lot of people that they don't want to go back to South Sudan. They only want the resources of South Sudan and they can live a luxury life outside South Sudan. But we, the people that love South Sudan so much, we are the people that are being seen as people that are making noise. We are the people that are being seen as the tribalists when we try to turn the style of our activism. We are the people that are being put in prison. We are the people that are being killed by being called by the president that we are what? That we are the enemy of the people. When I am asked, when I say in South Sudan that I'm an activist, and then the people that are in the SPLA will say we are the people that are disturbing the government, that we are the enemy of the government. But we are not the enemy of the government. We are the voice of the South Sudanese. We are the people that come and see, okay, this document you want to sign, it's not important for South Sudanese. It will not bring roads to South Sudanese. It will bring problems to South Sudanese. And we know South Sudanese need roads. South Sudanese need development. South Sudanese need airports. South Sudanese need to go to cinemas. South Sudanese need to have comedy shows. South Sudanese need to have food. We see that and we tell the government that this one, no. Our people need this and this. So we are your voice. We represent you. But you don't see us as that. You only see us as noisemakers. You don't know the kind of documents we write. You don't know the kind of reports that we write, that actually all these things that comes out, they comes out because South Sudanese human rights team are working so hard to make sure that these things come to reality. But today, only South Sudan knows what we are doing for it. And the ancestors also are seeing what we are doing for the country. But one day, South Sudanese will come and accept and say thank you to these people that have been doing this work when the right time comes. Now we are not yet in the right time. So those are the international community. They were the first people that recognized that South Sudan is a country. They sign and they say now you have your own sovereignty. And our flag was raised among other flags in the world. And we were put in the system of the world as a country, and we were put in the map. And that's why all of us, we celebrated in 2011. If they didn't want us to be a sovereignty country, they would have not signed that document, because the signature of the international community is what confirms that makes you to become a sovereignty, to make you have a country. So they participated. So when we want to open your mouth so hard and you become so harsh and so bitter to these people, remember there is UN that is feeding people. This is part of the international community. We have been surviving. I call ourselves the children of UN. That is a nickname I give myself, that we are the children of UN. Because Ruth, that ration card I put on my Facebook page, that ration card made me who I am today. If it was not because of that ration card, I will not be talking to you today. But that ration card gave me education. That ration card gave me a life when I would have died maybe those years. So when you want to be so bitter, know that if you did not become a refugee, there is South Sudanese that at least benefited from this refugee thing. And until you become a member of refugee, that's when you understand that actually the refugee things are working. So shout out to refugee. We don't like being refugees, but we are being forced to become refugees. But never remains wherever you are. So let me continue. The new report draws on independent investigation conducted in South Sudan, focused on events and cases in 2025. While noting distressing new development, the Commission presented the report today at the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva, which established the Commission 10 years ago in March 2016. So, this report we are reading now was presented today. The Commission found that armed forces under ruling party command are now most responsible for attacks against civilians, including patterns of targeting linked to ethnicity and perceived political affiliation. Added SOCA as attacks on where civilians by government forces continue escalating, particularly in Jonglei. We see that the ethnic dimensions to renew violence are inseparable from the politicized detentions and prosecution of opposition leaders, which are also ethnically charged. So when you continue telling that the court case in Juba is a court case, the UN term it as an ethnical charge case. So that's how they term it, because the people that are being charged, they are only from one tribe. They are Nuer people, and they are being charged because of the ethnicity. So they are charged. The UN believe that they are in that court because they are Nuer people. In March 2025, the ruling SPLA-IG party detained opposition members across the country, including 8 opposition leaders, among them the first vice president, charging them with serious crime in September 2025. To those who think maybe it's Rudu who have written it, this is the UN report, and some of you maybe you have seen it. These detentions and prosecution raise serious concern on arbitrary detention in violation of Article 9 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, denial of fair trial guarantees under Article 14, and unlawful execution, interference with judicial independence. The ruling party says it's planned to conduct the first national election in December 2026. Credible electoral processes are unrealistic. I want to repeat that one. Credible electoral processes are unrealistic This unrealistic already show people that the election is not going to happen in 2026 December. Because the whole world already know that Salva Kiir leadership style is focused to survive and also military relief power. So these are the two styles that President Kiir leadership is doing. His friend President Museveni use a fake mean of he make himself look like democratic. He do election, but he already know that he win before this election. So another thing is he's also detained because Museveni is advising his friend in a very wrong way. What is he doing? He's telling President Kiir, arrest these people, but it is very different. South Sudan and Uganda are different. South Sudanese have guns everywhere, including kids who are not even 18 years old. The teenagers are holding guns. So South Sudan and Uganda is very different. You cannot tell Salva Kiir to try the drama that is happening in Uganda in South Sudan. Uganda, they don't have weapons. Ugandans are afraid. South Sudanese are not afraid. You cannot want to try South Sudanese. It is very different. Some people think that we South Sudanese we fear the government, we do this. We don't do that. It's only that we are tired. We are saying let them go. When the time comes, they will leave. We just don't want problem. We don't want to die more. That's the reason why you are not seeing anything. But it's not because we are afraid. Actually, there's something so funny. When the whole world hear gunshot, they run to hide. When South Sudanese hear gunshots, they rush to where the gunshot is coming from because they want to check. So that when people come out, they'll be able to explain to people what happened. So can you call such a person a coward? No. So when the whole world is running away from gunshots, South Sudanese are running towards where the gunshots are coming from. This is trauma. So you cannot say that South Sudanese are afraid. No. It's only that we have not yet realized that tribalism have entered too much into our blood. When we see our brother is being killed, we say that is a Dinka. When we see our brother is being killed, we say, that is a Nuer, let them die. Imagine there is one boy, he came out and said, and this is one of the worst hate speech I've ever seen in my life. He came out and said, if you find a Nuer and a snake, if you find two enemies, a Nuer and a snake, he said, kill the Nuer first. He said, kill the Nuer first because the Nuer is the worst enemy. And then you will kill a snake later. And this boy is not even yet 22 years. He's still very young. Where did such a guy get such a message? From the elderly people. From people like Makwelwes. From that age. That's where they got this from. Because how will a child that is not even yet 22 years say such a statement that even the president himself cannot say? Even President Kiir cannot say that if you see a snake and a Nuer, kill the Nuer first. Nuer are not enemy. That statement, it's a devilish statement and it should be condemned. And I don't blame that boy because it did not come from his brain. He's just passing a message that he received from somewhere. And that message is the same message that when Johnson Ului came out and say, when you reach to the Nuer land, kill their children, kill their women, killed even their chicken. And the whole world saw that. And they did the same. They went and they killed the chicken, they killed the woman, they even raped them. After raping them, they killed them. They give them food, they record some videos, and then they kill them. All these things that you are doing, there is something that is called karma. Karma is real. If justice cannot fight for you, then karma will fight for you. And this karma, it visits people individually. When it visits you, you remember the bad things that you have done in life. Karma come in form of disease. Karma come in form of curse from generations. The karma come differently. And until when it visits you, that's when you realize that you did something bad. So, that boy, I condemned that yesterday and I'll still say it again. There is no anywhere in the world you can compare human being with reptiles. A Nuer can help you tomorrow, but a snake cannot help you. A Dinka cannot help you tomorrow. A Dinka can help you tomorrow, but a snake can never help you. A Equatorian can help you tomorrow, but we need each other. They said in Nuer language, that one hand cannot clap itself. When I put like this, you cannot hear anything. But when I put my two hands together, you can see it. You can hear some sounds. So you cannot go to the level of your saying that now you are preferring snakes are better than Nuer. That is so bad. And the people, the elderly people, please stop speaking this hatred to our young people. Stop it. It is not helping us. It is killing us. So, I will continue reading. The report identified airstrikes on levels and proceeded since pre-independent wars conducted by South Sudan People Defense Force with documented support by Uganda forces. Thank you. Now at least Uganda have appeared. Uganda have appeared because our problem as South Sudanese is not ourselves. Our problem is President Museveni and his son, because South Sudan is the market of Uganda. If we have peace, then we are going to cultivate and cook and prepare and plant our own food. We are going to develop our country. So President Museveni will not have anywhere to go and take his matoke. He will not have anywhere to come and bring his farm. And also, this war is a project. So he will not have anywhere where he can sell his weapons to. So the Museveni weapons, he's doing business with South Sudanese bodies. He's doing business with us. And you saw there was a lot of millions and millions of resources that was sent to Uganda. So that this, anytime you hear that this helicopter is coming to bomb, it is $3 million that have been paid. One bombing of helicopter is $3 million. This money can build roads. It can build a very big road. It can build schools. It can even start businesses. It can start companies. But Museveni wants to continue to use South Sudan to become his market, whereby when the Ugandans produce their matoke or their onions or their all these things, they bring to South Sudan. For a very long time, South Sudanese have been fed with very bad food. And until recently, that in the border, they now check the food. And the kind of food that comes to South Sudan is not even qualified to a human consumption. It is not allowed to be consumed by human beings. But these are the things that we have been consuming for a very long time. So, that one. And even President is coming out and telling people that Ugandan forces continue to be there because they came and they were fighting under the LRA and all that. But there's no LRA that is fighting now. They should leave and go back to Uganda and build their country. But no, the more you dance, the more South Sudan resources are being used. And the more also Museveni is benefiting twice. He's benefiting because he's bringing all his product, the agriculture product to South Sudan. And these are the things that we eat. And he's also bringing the weapons because we are buying them, and President Kiir is using them to kill us. We continue to hate each other, and then education, we don't develop our country, and then we are now the most corrupt country in the world, number one. Number two, we are the poorest. With all the resources we have in South Sudan, we are still being called the poorest country with the oil. And Martin Elias was saying that South Sudan money is being brought in by private jet by individual people. But me and you, South Sudanese, were not benefiting in any way. So I'll continue. The report identified airstrike on level and pretended since pre-independent wars conducted by South Sudan People Defense Force with documented support by Uganda forces. Most bombing hit areas the ruling party declared hostile. Very important. The bombardment is being done by the area that Elias Romolo himself, he declared that these communities or these counties are hostile. Civilians' homes, hospitals, and opposition sites are targeted in attacks. Many of the improvised bombs inflicted severe burns on mostly civilians, victims, often fatal. When we came out and said that these people that were being bombed by this, they are this one, the government of South Sudan say no. These bodies, they were not burned in South Sudan, they were burned in Nigeria. But you cannot hide the things you have done to people for a very long time. You can identify a South Sudanese skin from another skin. Our skin doesn't hide from anywhere. When you see them walking, you know those are South Sudanese, especially the Dinka and the Nuer. You will know this is a South Sudanese from when you see them from afar. So you cannot come and say that you will deny this. It is in the UN report. The report UN that you accepted by yourself. Let me drink some water. Reflecting proper abdication of core duties and obligations, the systematic bombing and forced recruitment targeting civilians have been conducted by the very armed forces which are responsible for citizen protection. So SSPDF are supposed to protect South Sudanese, not to harm them. But now they are harming them. Said Commissioner Banei Afako. These are gross violations of the state's international human rights law obligation and implicated leaders in serious crimes. The commission documented forced recruitment in Juba led by SSPDF, in which boys and young men were adopted and transported north to fight. The airstrikes and forced recruitment were widely known and well planned with high-level authorization. Political military leaders responsible for related crimes enjoy impunity. Air and ground attacks on civilians by government forces mostly targeted civilians in opposition-affiliated areas. Predominantly Nuer communities are part and parcel of the ruling party's systematically dismantling of the peace agreement. When leaders treated negotiated peace commitment as expendable, they create conditions in which violence flourishes. You remember when I told you? They always try to find a way so that they continue with all these things. South Sudan is at dangerous crossroad, added Afako. Evidence gathered by the commission indicates these violations are authorized, condemned, or tolerated by senior political and military officials. One of them, I believe, Johnson Olunyi is one of them. We also have Paul Nang as one of them, and they continue. We have Kolchal Madhu. This engaged individual criminal responsibility, including under the doctrine of command responsibility. The 2018 Reportalized Agreement offers a comprehensive framework for peace, justice, and development. The Commission has consistently emphasized the Reportalized Agreement as central to fulfilling South Sudan international human rights laws obligation. Yet the new report documents its systematically dismantling throughout 2025, following years of deliberation obstruction. In our close examination of the detention and prosecution of opposition leaders, we identify serious and extensive violation of due process. said Commission Carlos Castrosana Fernandez. A fundamental issue is their detention without charge or lawyers for over 5 months. Another is the prejudicial statement by the senior officials and unexplained dismissal of Chief Justice and indeed Justice Ministers in the process, which indicates executive interference and may in part explain why judges never addressed the unlawful detention. The unlawful deprivation of liberty warrants their immediate release. This should be done promptly in accordance with applicable law. So, the people that are already in prison now, the jailing of the first vice president and the other 7 political detainees are not supposed to be in jail. They are not supposed to be in prison now. They were supposed to be relieved immediately as soon as they were arrested. They have impunity. They have impunity. What does this mean? It's only the Ivory Court. It's only the Ivory Court that is in our access. Is part of agreement that is supposed to hold them accountable. So as the judges continue, and every day they are going to court, adjourning the court and all this drama, it is not supposed to be happening like that. They were supposed to be released immediately. They realized that these people, they have impunity. I remember the first vice president came out and said, I have impunity. I am the first vice president of South Sudan. So it's only the Ivory Court that can hold him accountable. It is only the same Ivory Court that can give President Kiir, can hold him accountable. So this Ivory Court, they don't want to implement the Ivory Court because the Ivory Court will take everybody that have done corruption about South Sudan inside. Everything that South Sudan need is put in that document called Ivory Court. But there's no way a leader will say, I want to be accountable. I remember when President Kiir signed this document, he came out and he said that this document was designed in a way that it cannot be implemented. Why? Because it will say he will be accountable. Dr. Riek will be accountable. The killing of 2013, the killing, anything that have happened, they were going, Ivory Court is supposed to hold these leaders accountable. So they don't want this to be implemented totally because they don't want it to be held accountable. But let me say this message to South Sudanese. Even Omar al-Bashir, that was the president of Sudan, went to prison. You cannot escape the human rights law. You cannot escape. Commit those atrocities, kill South Sudanese, but if you survive and you did not die, we will take you to court. This same Ivory Court will take you to court, and we will arrest you, and you will be in prison, and you will pay for your crimes. Just like any leader that are paying for their crimes now. Omar al-Bashir built a prison for himself. General Akolkol signed a bill that is saying people will be arrested without arrest warrant, and he put himself inside. When he was told that you are going to be put under house arrest, he said, no, let me see the document. He was so Kwar, Ben, what did you do? You signed a document, a bill that was saying South Sudanese can be arrested without a warrant arrest. So he didn't know. But this now, it worked on him. It acted on him fast. Because the law was the first thing that acted on him. So let's continue. So the reason why this peace agreement they want to boycott it by all means, is because it is holding them accountable. All the resources that they have played with, South Sudan money, everything, the Araxis is holding them accountable. And they want to boycott it, they put it aside, and they want to rush to election because this is what they know doing every day. But the other axis is saying no. I remember the first vice president came out some times back and say, if you don't want to implement this peace agreement, we will not have another peace agreement again. Because it became a game of playing South Sudanese. So, let's continue. Systemic impunity, economic predation, and deliberate supervision of peace agreements over the 10 years. So, for a very long time, because from 2018 up to today, how many years? 10 years. For the 10, imagine this R-axis took us 10 years and they only implement very small part of it. They only implement where there are money to be enjoyed. But where it's talking about human rights, where it's talking about the unification of the forces, where it's talking about the implementation of the establishment of the Ivory Court, they run away from it. Where there is money, they welcome. Where there is Ivory Court to be established, where there is the forces to be put together, they don't want that one. And they run away from it. And because of the peace agreement is what that killed Honorable Stiwa Sorobo Budia. He was detained in Blue House and he was a signatory to the peace agreement under UDP. So when he died in detention in Blue House. And because he wanted to show South Sudanese that I die for nothing, I die for you, after 5 years of him being dead, he was appointed among the living and he was put as a stakeholder to come and show you I was innocent. And for sure, we could confirm that he was innocent because there's no way that a dead person will be appointed after 5 years. And the government didn't even know that this person was dead. And after we came out and tell them the person you appointed is dead, the next day they came out, they write a condolences letter, and they also apologize to the families. And up to today, we don't know because the family comes out and say, there's a rituals that need to be done because you have woken a sleeping spirit. And also because you have created another trauma to the family. Honorable Stewart was an American citizen and a South Sudanese citizen. So when he died, nobody knew because the family, these are Equatorians. The Equatorians, nobody cared about them in South Sudan. The only people that are being seen, that their suffering is being seen, is either if the Shilluk are suffering, if the Nuer are suffering, or if the Dinka are suffering. When they are fighting, that's when you could see, these are the people that you could see when they are suffering. But when other tribes are being, the small tribes, we don't see them suffering. So they never talked about it. And this is the problems that we want. The reason why South Sudan was founded was because every South Sudanese will be recognized. Whether you are only 50 people in your community, government of South Sudan should remember you, should recognize you as South Sudanese. Let me shock you. There's a time I went to the Murle land. We were climbing mountain and there are people we found there and they are surviving by the grace of God. They don't have food, they stay in the mountain. And when we were asking, they say you don't need to know how many people are dead. You just go to those houses and count the dead body that you will see. They even know who will die. And there's in South Sudan. And they ask us, how is John Garang? We say John Garang died in 2005. Imagine in South Sudan, there are people that are not aware that Dr. John Garang is not alive. And I was so shocked, I shed tears. I cried. Because there are South Sudanese only live in Juba. A lot of people in South Sudan don't know what happened outside Juba. So that is the kind of the problem that we are going through as South Sudanese. Some people don't know that we have a president called President Kiir. They only know Dr. John Garang. So such a person doesn't even know that there are some people that have been arrested yesterday because of corruption. They don't even know that we have oil in South Sudan. They don't even know that they don't know. This is the kind of South Sudan we are living in. But we are fighting for such people to be seen. We are fighting for such people to be happy, to also enjoy the resources of South Sudan. Dr. John Garang said, take the city to the people. And he said, please, when you start, because he knew he was not going to be there. He said, please, start with agriculture. Don't start with oil. But President Kiir started with oil instead of starting with agriculture. The corruption that Dr. John Garang saw actually is what that have been ruling us from 2005 up to today. So, I will repeat: systematic impunity, economic predation, and deliberate subversion of peace requirements. Over the 10 years, our commission has repeatedly identified C as central drivers of recurrent armed conflict. You see how this situation have been called? They categorize it as a commission has repeatedly identified C as central drivers of recurrent armed conflict and ongoing human rights violation. And some people call it the recycling of the people, the recycling of the government. This is the same cup, it's taken back, they made the same plastic. It's the same plastic that is being used all the time. So Salva Kiir is recycling the government of South Sudan. Said Soccer. South Sudan neighboring countries must urgently step up their engagement and press the ruling party to restore the revitalized agreement, starting with ending military offensives, recruiting to the cessation of hostilities, and releasing opposition leaders from unlawful detention. Salva Kiir, I think, is having some inside information from these people before even the information came out. Because this morning, Salva Kiir, he have called that he have tell all the forces to remove all their big guns, that pull them out, please come then bring them to board. But they're already planning on the other side to uplift some soldiers to go with another Nuer guy they have just appointed recently, and they want to airlift them so that they can go and use another road that they will take them to Akobo. So he's playing us, but he's only playing you South Sudanese. President Kiir is not playing me. From 2020, we have been going hand in hand with President Kiir. But he's playing South Sudanese. And you hate us because you see, this is Ruth Nyalel. She's from the Nuer land, so she's a rebel. That is how people call me. Even in this show just now, somebody have just come and say you are a rebel. But I know I'm a South Sudanese. I am fighting for my right. I want a country whereby my children will be free and study in South Sudan. So, offensive, recommencing to the cessation of hostilities and releasing opposition leaders from unlawful detention. They are saying this court that have reached today, 55 session, they are saying they should, let me repeat it again, recommitting to the cessation of hostilities and releasing opposition leaders from unlawful detention without urgent cause, correction, South Sudan state failure, further undermining regional security. It is no longer South Sudan problem that they said South Sudan state failure, further undermining regional security and trampling the rights and dignity of South Sudanese. The Commission key recommendation in the reports are: 1. To the government, immediately cease bombing, forced recruitments, and all violation of the international law withdraw politicized charges against SPLA-IO leaders, cease actions dismantling power sharing arrangements and undermining judicial independence, ensure any electoral process complies with safeguard consistent with the revitalized agreement. Even the election they are talking about, without the R-axis, without the peace agreement, they cannot hold the election if they want to follow the laws of this R-axis. I think I recommend South Sudanese, please go and look for this R-axis and read it so that you will know what is this R-axis saying about. Why is the government of South Sudan refusing to, because when we come and tell you, you see us as rebels. So we don't want you to see us as rebels, and we don't want us to come and always bore you. Because I don't enjoy, nobody pays me. Whatever I do, nobody pay me money. And there's no day that somebody come and call me and say, Ruth, you have been talking to us about all these things that take this $50. Nobody have ever done that. So when we do this because we love South Sudan. Nobody have employed us to do this for you. We are supposed to write recommendation and send. But because South Sudanese need to understand that there are these things that are going on, that is when we come out and we talk to you. And the half of the country, imagine they are refugees. Up to now, we are still refugees after the 2011 getting our independence. So, safeguarding consistent with the revitalized agreement and international law. So, the election must follow international law, and it must, so that means the election is not happening. Because it will take long time for all these processes to be followed. There's a way of the government is just looking for money. So that after some few months, they'll come and say, you know, let's go back. Let's extend the peace agreement with 2 years. They continue with the drama again. They cannot get out. This peace agreement is like, for example, a man that pregnanted a girl that he doesn't like. I will compare this peace agreement, this situation that we are in, with a guy that pregnanted a lady that he was just playing with. And the parents and all the parents are saying, you must marry her because you pregnanted her. And the parents of the lady will come, the parents of the boy, we are going to be forced that there's no other way. You must make this woman your wife. So this is the peace agreement. This represents this R-axis in this content. So I compare it with that guy that pregnant a lady that he doesn't like, he was just playing with, and is held accountable by the parents of the guy and the parent of the girl. So this is the situation the R-axis is in with the government of South Sudan. The SPLA-IO are saying, let's continue with the agreement. The government is saying, no. Because there's a lot that need to be done. So let's continue. The second thing, that was the first thing, the first recommendation. And it's not a begging, it is a warning. And it's also like a command. When you understand the international language, you will know it is a command. Salva Kiir have been warned to a level of a C5 have been formed. A C5 have been forming. That was the last warning that South Sudan government will have in a. So we have this one now. We have this one as a last warning. You never know what happened in Venezuela can happen to leaders in South Sudan. President Trump also gave a warning that America cannot be played. Imagine the whole world is shouting, President Kiir, please listen to us. And if the world take action, President Kiir will not like it. Yes, okay, thank you so much. Yes. No, I don't know this girl. I'm just giving an example. I don't know the girl. But this is a situation we have been having. To those who have girls or who have brothers or who, this is something that we have been going through. So the second recommendation, that was the first recommendation. The first recommendation, they want people to release the SPLA-IO political detainees. And I will add to also release everybody that is in prison, because they are in prison unlawfully. If it's about corruption, please, nobody is safe in South Sudan. If it's about corruption, release those people that are in prison, because President Kiir will have arrest himself first before he arrests other leaders. He will have arrest also followed by the daughter. So any South Sudanese that have been released, that have been arrested in the name of I don't know, that you are corrupt, this is a game for sulfur, those people are innocent. The resources of South Sudan have been eaten by a lot of people, including the foreigners, including even this guy called what? This forensic report guy. That guy also deserves to be arrested. He also deserves to be arrested. So a lot of people have enjoyed the resources of South Sudan. We just have to say we move on. We just have to say we move on. Nobody should be arrested because of corruption. Because we just need to call all South Sudanese and say, if you have stolen money, is your right. Because you are in a government whereby you are being taught only how to steal, how to do corruption. No systems that are going on. People are calling and saying, please, I want to be appointed. Can you talk to so-and-so? And then they go, they say, but okay, they give them $5,000 or $500,000 or $3 million so that you can be appointed, because you are going to steal more money. So I would say, and to President Kiir, please release everybody that is in prison, whether regardless of who. Release them, let them go back to their homes, let us sit down as South Sudanese and discuss. You cannot play us anymore. You can play South Sudanese, but you cannot play me. You can even play the international community, but you cannot play me as Ruth. You cannot. Since 2020, I've been with you like this. It's like the body and the clothes, that I cannot move without my clothes. So that have been you and me moving like this. When I come and I say, these people say, Ruth, no, I am fighting for you. So the second thing is, to all armed forces and non-state armed groups, to all armed forces and non-state armed groups, cease attacks on civilians, guarantee humanitarian access, enforce accountability for rights violation. Second. The third one, to the African Union. You see, the UN did not only talk to South Sudanese leaders or also to other forces. They also sent a message to UN. The message to UN, the message to the African Union, it says like this: to the African Union and United Nations organizations and member states, demand compliance with the revitalized agreement. Demand. Do you hear this word? I will repeat. To the African Union and United Nations organizations and member states. The member states are the tricas. The tricas countries. They tell them, demand. They did not say request. They say demand compliance with the revitalized agreement and establish a credible mechanism to restore the transition. Immediately operationalize the hybrid court. Immediately. So now, even the UN, it is the Commission on Human Rights in South Sudan. So all of them, these are not South Sudanese. This is the UN speaking. So they did not say, we are begging you. They said to the African Union and International and the United Nations Organization and member states demand compliance with the repartalized agreement and establish a credible mechanism to restore the transition. Immediately operationalize the hybrid court for South Sudan. The hybrid court, without hybrid court, no election. So those who have been dancing election, and I come and I told you there's no election, there is no election. Because how long will it take for them to build this hybrid court? Or they're going to do it in a tent. I don't know, maybe they're going to do it in a tent. They will not be bribed again. The African Union, the C5 actually, that meeting that was done on the C5, it was the last option that the international community gave to African Union, because they request and say, when the world made a decision, the African Union come and say, please give us a last chance. Let us sit with the government of South Sudan, and we will, if they don't comply with it, they don't do as we tell them, we will now tell you. So now, the government of South Sudan came out and reject the resolution that were given by the C5. And so, the C5 themselves now have no left with option, and they told the world that please, we cannot deal with it anymore. Now the world, Simon Deng, how many times election have been scheduled in South Sudan? Even in 2023, they scheduled election. In 2015, the election was scheduled. So election have been scheduled every day. Scheduling the election is another drama. It doesn't mean that it will happen. The hybrid court must be there. So fully fund humanitarian and civilians protection and condition political support on respect for human rights obligation. And the full report can be found. I will share. I think all of you know you can get it in the link of the South Sudan Commission. You can get it there. So that is my message today. And I read my message earlier to you. And then President Kiir is playing all of us. And it is enough. We cannot be played anymore. So I am tired, but I'm so happy because I am doing this for my people, for my citizens, for the people that we voted together in 2011 so that we can call a country.